At age 8, a child overshares every minor detail of their day at the dinner table. A few years later, that same child provides one-word answers, retreats down the hallway, and closes a heavy, soundproof door on their life. Parents often assume this breakdown in communication is an inevitable biological phase, driven by puberty, hormones, and classic teenage angst. Withdrawal is frequently a calculated decision rather than a biological one. Children execute a continuous, unseen risk assessment on the adults in their lives to determine if speaking the truth is safe. This diagram maps the silent spreadsheet. Every shared feeling passes through your reaction to calculate the emotional cost. They use a 40% truth protocol, offering a fraction of the problem, keeping 60% in reserve. If met with panic, the remaining 60% instantly retracts. Silence serves as a learned survival tactic. They stop talking because historical data suggests honesty is a luxury they can no longer afford. Parents inadvertently raise the price of admission through acts of love and extreme over-involvement. Emotional editing occurs when a child says they hate school, and the parent immediately attempts to rewrite the feeling. Instead of witnessing the negative emotion, the parent fixes it to something more comfortable for themselves. The achievement interrogation teaches a similar lesson. When a teenager walks in the door and the first question concerns math grades or homework, they learn that parental attention is a reward for performance metrics. When a parent's unmanaged stress or panic turns a minor Tuesday conflict into a full-scale emergency operation, that anxiety leaks into the house like smoke. The child eventually concludes that their honesty causes chaos, making silence the only responsible choice. When communication fails, many parents bypass trust entirely by reaching for surveillance tools, such as GPS tracking, unannounced room raids, and mandatory phone inspections. These tools force teenagers to construct parallel digital lives. They learn to hide their actual conversations behind a fractured icon, an encrypted messaging interface buried inside a simple calculator app. Decades ago, rebellion was loud, defined by slammed doors and shouting. That resistance was messy, but it signaled that the teenager still hoped to be heard. This graph plots the growing distance between behavior and connection. The steady rise in external compliance masks a total collapse in the internal bond, a state of emotional detachment. When conflict disappears entirely, it often signals that the teenager has simply decided the parent is no longer worth the risk of honesty. Reversing this distance requires a fundamental shift in the underlying math of the child's risk assessment. This updated ledger shows the 40% test balloon passing through with low cost. When the parental reaction remains calm and curious, the cost drops, and the reserved 60% is freely offered up. Lowering that cost means shifting from obligation to enjoyment. Loving a child is a mandatory biological tie, but genuinely liking them is a voluntary choice to enjoy their company. You prove that choice by putting away screens and celebrating their bizarre or unique interests. When you engage with their world without turning it into a teaching moment, you prove their reality is worth witnessing. Predictable safety allows a child to stop editing their reality, shifting the focus from managing their future to protecting their present.